Hey, all, welcome to my channel. I haven't talked a while in regards to the Mets after the trading season, and if you saw my video, I did stream from the Angels game on Saturday. Um, I wasn't keen on what had happened. I mean, quite honestly, on Friday's game, I thought, okay, I was like, okay, hopeful about it. And then after JD Martinez's grand slam on Saturday, I'm like, okay, this works for the Mets. The Mets hitting is back, but it's not. It's not. The Mets are literally like hitting 201 with runners on scoring position. Outside of JD Martinez, they're hitting 201 with runners on scoring position. It's not funny anymore. I mean, honestly, to the point where like I I gotta say that I think honestly the Mets should have traded Alonso. I mean, Alonso's in a slump. They had to like bring him down to like the fifth spot. They might have to bring him down to the seventh spot at the rate he's going, at the rate he's hitting. Um, it's to a point where if Alonso's not hitting, Nimmo's getting up as here and there. Lindor, like depends on him as well too. But like JD Martinez is your only person that's your offense practically, which is kind of surprising. I don't know what to say because this is what my fear was. They built out the bullpen. The starting pitching is a little shaky. Manea a little bit of a surprise, but at the same time, Manea could have um, you know could have been someone that the Mets could have traded apparently. Someone they could have traded Severino as well too, but Alonso was the biggest one. I think his stock is starting to drop a little bit now to the point where, like, if they had traded him before the trading deadline, he probably could have gotten some serious prospects. If they were to trade him now, not so much. So it's a little concerning that the Mets, didn't trade because I hate to say this, but it was a little bit of false hope, quite honestly, false hope that the Mets were not portraying, but more so giving to the aspect of like, hey, we're like only a game behind the Braves and for the top wild card spot. Um, they were, I mean, on a roll to the point where like they were like 8 games behind from the Phillies or seven at best case from the Phillies for first place. The Phillies were, I don't want to say slipping, but they weren't winning as many games as they weren't red hot as the Mets were. And the Mets could have overtaken the Phillies, but at the rate that they're going right now, the fact that they lost to the Rockies yesterday, and it seems like right now the score is 1-1. The Mets, at this rate, they might lose this game as well too. Honestly, if the Mets get swept by the Rockies, it's over. I mean, like, don't even bother. Why bother to like even like focus on them? Because quite honestly, this is something that I was hoping for the Mets to break 500 at least, which in this situation they still can. They still can, and I'll call that a success. I'll still call that a success if they break 500. But I was hoping they would break 500 without Alonso, without Severino, without Mineo, maybe even without Lindor. Trade them all for some prospects. I say rebuild again, rebuild. Honestly, with JD Martinez, you probably could have traded him too and like gotten some prospects in return as well too. Um, Now everyone's saying is like, oh, what with Stearns not trading his big players for some prospects, it was the best thing from him. I don't think so. It's more of a case where like they wanted to be competitive, yes, in the playoffs. If they wanted to be, they should have traded the prospects and gotten some serious pitchers in return. Like Snell, I mean, look what Snell did. He throws a perfect game or no hitter right after the trading deadline. I regret that it's like a different team, but who knows. But at the same time, these guys can produce in the long term, especially when they're in the playoffs. Right now, Severino, I think he's being overworked. Mineo, hopefully he does really well, but honestly, that's only if they make it into past September. I mean, the month of August right now, this is where they've gotta start winning games and catch up. I think that June and parts of July were a little misleading because their offense was on point. But the problem is like as I said back then, if you saw some of my videos, especially one video. I said like it's great that they're hitting, but once they're in a slump, they're only 10 games away from out of playoff contention, and that's what it seems like is going on right now, honestly. Because where are the Mets at right now at this point? Let me see. They lost one to the Braves. They lost one to the Rockies. Of course, granted, they beat the Cardinals, but I mean, I think they were fortunate that they beat the Cardinals the way they did. But quite honestly, if had the Mets swept the Angels the way they should have swept the Angels, because the Angels weren't that good. I mean, this is a team that's pretty much decimated. The Mets could have swept the Angels. Had they taken 3 out of 4 from the Braves, then it'd be a different story. But it's not, and everyone's gonna say woulda, coulda, shoulda. Honestly, the thing is like I said, this is a case where I was all for them to trade Alonso, and honestly, the guy is an arrogant jerk. I mean, he put a statement a while back. I mean, honestly, they're like, "Hey, you're in a slump." But he's like, "Yeah, but I'm on par. I mean, I'm confident. I'm an all-star." I mean, he made the all-star team. Oh, whoop-de-doo. But remember, the reason why he made the all-star team was basically why? Because no one else in the home run derby, they were not having big names in the home run derby. Major League Baseball needed some people. Alonso says, I'm not going to participate in the home run derby if I'm not in the All-Star game. So what happens? They have to put him in the All-Star game. If he's not in the All-Star game, he's not there. But the thing is like he's saying he's on pace for 40 home runs. At this rate, he's on pace to finish 33 home runs. Not bad, but from his perspective, far below. And if he's expecting that big payday, I don't think so. Unless he does that 1-1 like Manaea, then it might be a different story. But I doubt he's going to do that. I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna basically ask for a serious amount, considering that he's got Scott Boras. I'm kind of curious to see what teams are going to offer what to him, basically, because quite honestly, I don't think he's worth $500 million. I don't think he's even worth $400 million. Is the guy worth more than $20 million a year? I don't think so. He has yet to prove it. Maybe worth maybe $15 million a year, but that's as far as it goes. And if it's $15 million a year, I say more so for 5 years. I don't want a long-term contract. Let's just have 5 years, because honestly, I think the Mets have some serious prospects in the farm system that could come in and replace him. And the aggregate can, I hate to say this, but like thinking of like Moneyball, the aggregate can produce the same amount of runs that the Mets are producing right now. I hate to say this, but like honestly, maybe trade Lindor. It's too late now, but depending on the end of the season, how the Mets build out their pitching staff, it'll be interesting. Now the question is like if the Mets get Soto, now that's a man that deserves that kind of money. If the Mets get Soto, yeah, then keep Lindor. Do you keep Alonso? It'd be good to keep Alonso, but if they can't get Soto, there's no purpose to re-signing Alonso if they can't get Soto. And if they can't get Soto, I say you trade off Lindor as well too, because like honestly, if they can't get any players, it's not going to work out for them. But outside of that, yeah, I hate to say this, but this is a case where the Mets, as I said, we've said in the past, or I've said in the past as well, specifically in my videos in this channel, the Mets need some pitching. They need some pitchers. Severino and Manaea are not your savers. Everyone was talking about Senga. Well, look what happened. I figured something was going to happen. He's not your ace. He's your back of the rotation type of guy. The only reason he's your ace is because he's that only good enough to be there. Honestly, if you could trade off Senga as well, I don't know if you want to trade off Senga just yet, but you still need someone in the back of the rotation. Manaea, I hate to say this, but maybe he is a back of rotation type of guy as well too. He's doing decent enough. But outside of that, yeah, you should Quintas, whatever. I forgot. Sorry, I'm a little out of it. Trade him off. What they Mets should have made some master trades. Should have traded off. They should have been sellers, even though they looked like they should have been buyers, but they weren't. They should have been sellers. Gotten some serious prospects in return, like some top 10 prospects in all of baseball, or top 20 for sure. They could have gone that, but they didn't. And I hate to say this, but it's going to be a massive disappointment for a bunch of Mets fans if they don't make the playoffs this year. Considering, and I'm one of those hopefuls too, because yeah, I false hope came into play, unfortunately, but I'm still looking at it like maybe the Mets can't still pull off a couple of string off a couple of victories, a couple of winning streaks, and they're back in it again. But the way the Diamondbacks are playing right now, the way the Padres are playing right now, the way and the Braves, I know they're losing right now, but honestly, quite honestly, I have a feeling what's going to happen is like towards the middle of August onwards, they're just going to flip a switch like they normally do and start winning again, similar to what Philadelphia does. If the Mets don't flip that switch and start winning again, they're not making the playoffs. And I hate to say this, but it's a lost season, and it's a case where like you wish the Mets could have done some more, but they didn't. I'm happy they didn't surrender any prospects. But for those that are say, oh yeah, the Mets should have made, if they want to make a deep run in the playoffs, they should have traded for some of their prospects. And I hate to say this, but they could have traded some prospects, not their top 10 prospects, maybe top, you know, the lower rung, not the lowest rung, but like lower rungs, between 15 and 25. They could have traded them off for for some players. Then again, there was only a handful of teams that were sellers, and so of course the demand was low. I mean, supply was low, demand was high, so of course everyone was asking the moon practically. And the Mets, fortunately, they didn't give that up, so I'm happy for that. But the Mets could have been sellers. They could have gotten some serious. They could have gotten some serious prospects. Quite honestly, look at the way it is. Severino, if they were trading off Severino, traded off Manea, traded off Quintus, traded off Alonso. They probably would. I hate to say this, but they should have traded off McNeil as well too. They could have traded McNeil. Could have gotten some serious prospects in return. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I do all my comments, and I do respond to them when they warrant a response. If you think the Mets should have been sellers, should have been buyers, is this good? Do you think the Mets still make the playoffs? Let me know. If you like my channel, like my video, like my content, and specifically if you hit the like button on this channel. I mean, if you hit the like button on this video, I will know to focus more on sports than anything else. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.